This is a story about you and me.
Our parents, our friends, our grandparents,
our cousins,
Our padrinos, our brothers, our sisters,
our past,
our present,
our future. This is a
Mexican family story.
In the early decades of the 20th century, Mexico was a nation scarred by revolution. The Mexican Revolution of 1910 promised land reform, liberty, and democracy, but it also unleashed a bitter war against one of the oldest institutions in the country, the Catholic Church. What followed would tear communities apart, pit families against each other, and create martyrs whose memory still burns fiercely today. This was the Cristero War. After the revolution, Mexico's leaders feared the church as much as they feared the old dictators. For centuries, Catholicism had been more than a faith. It was a power. The church owned vast lands, ran most of the schools, and influenced elections. It also controlled and kept records of the rituals of life and death. Baptism, engagements, marriages, and funerals were all recorded in the church registry. To revolutionary leaders, this was incompatible with the new republic they were trying to build. The 1917 Constitution enshrined some of the harshest anti-clerical laws in the world. Priests stripped of their right to vote, churches banned from owning property, religious schools outlawed, public worship restricted. The government believed they were liberating Mexico from clerical domination, but for millions of ordinary Mexicans, these laws felt like an attack on their identity, their family, and their very soul. In the countryside, where faith was the heart of community life, the new laws cut deepest. Priests went into hiding. Mass was celebrated in secret barns or under trees at night. The faithful whispered prayers, not knowing who might be listening. By the mid-1920s, President Plutarco Elías Calles moved to enforce the laws with brutal relentlessness. Churches were closed, priests were deported or killed. For many Mexicans, this was no longer politics. This was a war on God himself. The cry went up, "Viva Cristo Rey! Long live Christ the King!" In 1926, civilians across central western Mexico took up arms. They called themselves Cristeros, soldiers of Christ. Poorly armed, often carrying little more than hunting rifles or machetes, they fought against a modern army backed by the Mexican government. Entire villages joined the cause. Women, known as las Brigadas Femeninas, or the Feminine Brigades, protected churches, smuggled weapons, carried messages, and nursed the wounded. Families gave sons to the war and daughters to the underground resistance. It was not just a fight for religion. It was a fight for dignity, tradition, and the right to live as their ancestors had. The Cristero War produced martyrs whose stories still echo through Mexico and the world. José Sánchez del Río, only 14 years old, joined the Cristeros against his parents' wishes. Captured by government troops, he was tortured and ordered to renounce his faith. He refused. With the words, "Viva Cristo Rey," on his lips, he was executed. Today he is venerated as a saint. San Toribio Romo, a young priest from Jalisco, ministered to the faithful in secret, moving from house to house under cover of night. He was hunted down and killed by government forces in 1928. His legacy endures, especially among migrants who prayed to him for protection on their journeys north. For the faithful, these martyrs were not victims. They were heroes of God's kingdom, living proof that faith could outlast even the gun. The Mexican government responded with overwhelming force. Villages suspected of helping Cristeros were burned. Civilians were executed as examples. The countryside bled. But international pressure began to mount. American businesses feared instability in Mexico's oil fields. The Vatican lobbied for peace. By 1929, secret negotiations, brokered by U.S. Ambassador Dwight Morrow, led to a fragile agreement. The Cristeros laid down their arms. In return, the government promised to ease enforcement of the anti-clerical laws. Yet betrayal lingered. Many Cristero fighters who surrendered were executed anyway and buried in unmarked graves. The war ended in compromise, but not in peace. Nearly 90,000 Mexicans had died. Fathers, sons, daughters, priests. The laws restricting the church remained on the books for decades, though often ignored. In many ways, the Cristero War left scars deeper than the revolution itself. It forced Mexico to reckon with the question, could a modern nation also remain deeply Catholic? Could the soul of the people survive the ambitions of the state? And now, 1 century later, the words Viva Cristo Rey still carry meaning. The Cristero War was more than a battle of guns. It was a battle over identity, memory, and faith. In the silence of village chapels and the stories of the saints, the echoes remain. A reminder that in Mexico, history is not only written in laws and revolutions, but in the enduring power of belief.